I came home after a 12-hour night shift, unlocked my side gate, and just stopped. A $300,000 Maybach sat dead center in my garage shop like it owned the place, and the only thing louder than my heartbeat was the little click of someone recording. Outside my open bay door, the HOA president held her phone up at eye level, smiling like she'd already won. Her name was Janet Pierce, but she had that classic, "my clipboard is basically a badge" energy. The kind of person who doesn't introduce herself like a neighbor, she introduces herself like a warrant. I'd moved into Cedar Ridge Estates 2 days earlier, and Janet was already in my driveway watching my rental truck unload. Arms crossed, chin-up eyes tracking every tool case like she was counting contraband. "You can't operate that here," she said, flat and confident. "I have permits," I told her, sweat still running down my neck, hands still dusty from moving equipment. I wasn't trying to be difficult. I was trying to set up my life. Janet tilted her head like she felt sorry for me. "Permits don't matter if the Homeowners Association decides something's unsafe," she said, Homeowners Association slow like each syllable came with authority. 48 hours later, she filed the first noise complaint. My shop was soundproofed, insulated, and I worked inside allowed hours. But she showed up anyway, phone already recording angle perfect, capturing the inside and my face. "I can hear metallic vibrations during my yoga," she announced. "You're 50 yards away," I said, staring at her like she'd just told me the sky was purple. "And these walls are insulated." Janet only smiled. Not a normal smile either, more like she knew something I didn't, and she was enjoying the delay before she told me. Then the letters started. Professionally printed violations taped to my door. Industrial activity, fire risk, visual disruption, the whole menu. Every time I responded with paperwork, she came back louder, more official, more dramatic. Like the goal wasn't compliance, it was exhaustion. City inspectors showed up multiple times because she kept reporting me. They'd walk through my workspace, look at the permits, check my setup, and leave baffled. One guy actually asked, "She reported you again?" 3 times this week, I said, and I hated how normal that sentence started to feel. Janet escalated online too. Posts in the neighborhood group about unsafe chemical use and secret industrial operations. Neighbors who had never spoken to me suddenly smiled a little tighter, walked a little wider around my driveway like I had a lab in there instead of a welder and a clean bench. And Janet didn't keep it at a distance. I caught her in my backyard once accidentally wandering. I caught her peering through gaps in my fence photographing equipment like she was building a case file. Nothing huge, just pressure, constant calculated pressure. One morning another letter showed up, official inspection scheduled. Failure to comply may result in fines and legal action. Janet arrived with 2 board members, all 3 of them stepping through my gate like it was a public sidewalk. "We're just making sure everything is safe," Janet said. Clipboard up, phone rolling. "Nothing personal. Safe for who I asked, because I couldn't help myself. For the community," she said, shrugging like that explained why she was in my yard without permission. They measured distances between my machines and the walls. They photographed my metal stock. They pointed at things and whispered like they were touring a hazard zone. I stood there, smiling through my teeth, taking my own photos, time-stamped, tagged, documented. Because at that point, I'd learned something important. Janet wasn't responding to reality. She was trying to manufacture a new one with official-sounding language and enough paperwork to make it feel inevitable. By month 3, I was tired in a way sleep didn't fix. I'd open my shop, stare at orders I was behind on, and feel my stomach drop before I even turned the lights on. The harassment wasn't just annoying, it was messing with my income, my reputation, my sense of being able to exist on my own property. One night I sat on an overturned bucket in the corner of my shop, scrolling through listings for used equipment. I wasn't being dramatic. I was doing the math. If this kept going, it would be easier to sell everything, move, and start over. And yeah, I had that ugly thought, maybe I brought this on myself by moving into a neighborhood with an HOA in the first place. Maybe I should have known better. Maybe I should have just folded and found a commercial space. Then I looked around at my workspace, clean, compliant, licensed, built with my own hands, and that thought made me angry. Not explosive angry, focused angry, the kind that makes you stop talking and start documenting. So I installed a couple of discreet cameras, not for revenge, for reality. If Janet wanted a story, fine. I was going to keep the receipts. And then she crossed the line so hard it almost felt fake. I came home after a night shift and saw my heavy-duty lock in pieces on the concrete. The door was cracked open. Inside, my tool carts had been shoved against the wall, a couple of containers were tipped, and there was oil dripping in a thin line like someone didn't even care. And right in the middle of my shop bay was Janet's Maybach. Janet stood outside the open door, phone raised, filming me like I was the trespasser. "Official inspection," she said. "Do not interfere." I pointed at the cut lock. "You broke in." She didn't flinch. She smiled, small, smug. "You'll thank the HOA later." I looked at my scattered tools, the mess on my floor, the car sitting where my work needed to happen. My ears were ringing, but I kept my voice flat. "You don't have authority in here." Janet tapped a bright notice she'd slapped on her own windshield. "Oh," she said like she was explaining something to a slow child. "I do today." That was the moment I realized she honestly believed the HOA was a shield. Like if she said the words inspection enough times, reality would just step aside. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I didn't give her the scene she was recording for. I flipped on my welder. Janet laughed, actually laughed. "What are you going to do?" she said, phone still up, enjoying herself. So I did the most controlled, practical thing I could do in the moment, with my property being occupied, like this was some kind of power move. I welded steel plates along the inside seams of my bay doors, sealed them shut, and stepped back while her smile froze. Her car wasn't moving anywhere, not until this got handled the right way. While Janet stood there outside my shop, realizing she couldn't inspect her way out of being trapped by her own stunt, I called my attorney, Marcus Hale. Then I booked a cheap vacation, because the one thing Janet couldn't stand was me not reacting the way she planned. The real showdown happened at the next HOA board meeting. That room was packed. Neighbors shoulder-to-shoulder, phones out, Janet seated at the front like she was about to sentence me. She started talking fast, safety, community standards, violations, threats. All the usual words, just louder. I walked in with a folder and a flash drive, and I didn't say much at first. I just asked for the projector. Janet's smile twitched. "This meeting is for," it is, I said, calm. And I brought documentation. I played the footage. The camera angle showed the lock being cut. It showed her entering. It showed the Maybach rolling into my shop. It showed her filming, posing, performing. The room changed. People stopped shifting. The air went quiet except for the hum of the projector. Then I put up screenshots, her inspection schedule, notices, the baseless complaints, the posts, the emails, the coordinated notes between her and two board members who suddenly couldn't make eye contact. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a pattern. Janet's face went red, then pale. This was official." "Don't," Marcus said, standing beside me, voice low but sharp. "You don't get to call breaking and entering official because you printed a letterhead." And that's when the sheriff's deputy, who'd been waiting in the back, stepped forward. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't dramatize it. He just delivered facts like gravity. "Ms. Pierce," he said, "you're facing criminal trespass, breaking and entering, and property damage. Your HOA position does not exempt you from the law." Janet reached for her phone like it could save her, like an attorney on speaker could erase a video. "But you can't out-talk a timestamp." She tried to pivot, tried to blame procedures, tried to say she was protecting the community. It didn't land. Not with the footage, not with the paperwork, not with her own voice saying, "You'll thank the HOA later," like she was above consequences. Her authority collapsed in real time. No shouting, no fist fights. Just that slow moment where everyone realizes the bully was only standing because people kept stepping back. The deputy asked her to come with him, and for the first time since I moved in, Janet didn't have a speech ready. She just swallowed, stared at the floor, and walked out. And the lesson is simple: power without boundaries isn't leadership, it's just liability.